Inside of Dragons Dogma 2, there are a lot of different, more advanced classes that you can unlock by playing the game. I'm going to quickly go over all those different classes, that way you can help decide which one would probably be best for you as you progress through the game. There are 6 of these in total, so let's waste no more time, and let's get into it. Now, as I stated in the beginning, this video is focused on the more advanced classes, the ones that you can unlock inside of the game as you progress through the game. This is not saying that you have to pick one of these advanced classes. You are more than welcome to stay with the one that you started the game with. But with that being said, let's get into these more advanced classes. And starting off, we're going to be focusing on the Warrior, which boosts a strong physique and specializes in the direct combat as you would expect it would, with strength to endure many counterattacks from enemies. This is your quintessential big tank that hits like an absolute truck. It is specializing in two-handed weapons such as great swords and massive warhammers. These weapons look absolutely sick, by the way. Now, you do have the quintessential faster swings, which really for this guy isn't anything crazy fast, but you also have the heavy charged up swings that do additional damage the longer you charge it until it's the max amount of damage that you can put out for that charge attack. You can also parry enemy attacks, which I think is so much fun for this class. You can also do repeat attacks that if you time them perfectly will boost a much stronger output, which again is just another fun thing that I love about this class. All in all, you can't really go wrong with this particular vocation. Quickly moving on to another vocation that's very easy to understand is going to be the Sorcerer. Think of the crazy one-shot KO magic attacks. That's essentially what the Sorcerer does. It is a distance attack user, very good for supporting your teammates, and honestly, it can really turn the tide of some of the battles depending on what kind of spells you have your Sorcerer using. Now, as you could probably guess, these spells that take a little bit longer to cast and are much more powerful are just going to be that much more difficult to cast and that much longer of a casting time, which is kind of a downside, but with how much damage output this class can do, it's really worth it. But a more major downside to the Sorcerer vocation and class is that you can't use any healing magic. The healing magic is strictly for the mage class that you start the game with, so if you really want to have a supportive mage that can also heal you, you may not want to give your pawn this particular class. Moving on to a very fun vocation in my opinion is the Magick Archer. This is one of the vocations that only the Arisen can use, so you can't have your pawn use this one, unfortunately. But outside of that only downfall, you can do so much with this particular Magick Archer. You can heal your teammates, you can heal your other pawns around you. A lot of attacking spells that you have with this particular vocation is wild when you consider how powerful some of the charged up attacks that you can use in this vocation can almost one-shot some of the bigger enemies you come across inside of Dragons Dogma 2. It's kind of like a sorcerer, but also heals at the same time. It's really, really strong. It really unlocks its potential when you get more used to it and have figured out what devastating attacks, really charged up attacks as you can see here on the clip, suits your playstyle best. It's a very versatile class in my opinion and really fun to use. This brings us to debatably everyone's favorite class right now inside of Dragons Dogma 2, the Mystic Spearhand, which is another vocation only the Risen can use, but it also combines melee attacks and magic attacks. You'll obviously be able to tell the unique weapon that it has, the duo spear, and you can use magic to paralyze enemies, basically use the force to chuck objects or dead enemies at other enemies. You can also teleport to your enemies if they're up in the air, which is just bonkers to me. The way I look at this particular vocation, this particular class, is that it kind of takes features of all the other classes and combines them into one. You have magic, you have the teleportation, you have a melee weapon that you can get up close and personal. It has it all in my opinion. Now, I know this is a class that a lot of people are going to want to unlock very quickly in the game, and I'll have a bunch of videos describing how you can get all these vocations very early on coming out soon. But getting back to the vocations themselves and really going into the most unique vocation, I think is going to be the Trickster, which is by far one of the more interesting classes you can pick to play as inside of Dragons Dogma 2. I say this because you don't really have anything that's a direct attack. You use illusions to essentially trick your enemies to either fighting themselves, jumping off of cliffs, running into different areas. It's really interesting to use and a lot of fun at the same time. But in addition to these illusions, you can also help buff your pawns and other allies around you that help you defeat the larger enemies in Dragons Dogma 2 that much quicker, because again, you don't have anything that's really a direct attack that does direct damage. Personally, it's not really going to be a vocation that I'm going to be focusing on a lot in my playthrough, but I'll get to it eventually. I do think it's a lot of fun when you use your imagination more. Now, the final new vocation that I think everyone's kind of interested in using at some point is the Warfare vocation. Now, essentially what this is, in my opinion, a jack of all trades, because it uses weapons from every single other vocation in the game. Which sounds really, really fun until you realize that you have to learn little things about every single one of these classes at once and how to best use them in each situation. But if you use your imagination enough, yes, you can use a bow to shoot down some of the flying enemies and charge up to them when they're on the ground to finish them off with a great sword or a dual spear and shock them into being paralyzed and transport over to one of his enemies that's charging you at the same time. It really just depends on how you want to play this particular class. Now, a big downfall of this class though is that they have a much lower base stats compared to all the other classes, which requires them to utilize all these different weapons in different situations to get the best bang for your buck. But that is all your more advanced vocations that you can unlock by going throughout the world and unlocking certain attributes in certain very specific locations in Dragons Dogma 2. I will of course say that for some classes like the Warrior, if you're much more of a person that likes to hit very hard and not very often, it's a perfect class for you. Unlike for me, I'm definitely going to be going for the Duo Spear, as it allows me to get in and out of fights very quickly while also getting an advantage very quickly. For those that also want to have a bit of a distance, maybe be a little bit more supportive and have those also very strong one-shot kill opportunities, either the Sorcerer if you like magic more, or the Magick Archer are definitely classes you should look into as well. Now for those that are veterans to the Dragons Dogma series, or just people that want to really reach outside of the box of the norm of these kind of RPG games, go with the Trickster for solutions or the Warfare to try a little bit of a flavor of everything that this game gives you. But no matter what vocation you end up wanting to go with, whether it's one of the first 4 ones that you start the game with, or some of these more advanced ones that you can pick throughout the game, it's going to be an incredible experience no matter what you do. But as always, I'm curious what you guys end up picking. Let me know down in the comments which ones you ended up picking to go with first, and which one you ended up staying with throughout your playthrough. As always, I hope you guys did find this video helpful to help you decide what vocation is best for you in this game. That is the goal of this video always. If you did find it helpful, make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and with that, I will catch you guys on the next video.